Okay, it's finally time to make those crab cakes. So I am mixing together an egg, a quarter cup of mayo, a teaspoon of Old Bay. I added a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I'm about to chop up some fresh parsley, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire, and I think I did 2 teaspoons of mustard actually, not 1. And yeah, then we'll put the crab in, and instead of using saltine crackers, I toasted up some of my homemade sourdough focaccia that I made last night, and I just toasted it to make it a little bit more like a cracker, but it's salty and a little sour and a little fluffy, so I think it'll be a great substitute for saltines. So to the mixture, I just added a couple tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley, a teaspoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice. I'm going to mix it all together. I think I'm going to go grab my whisk actually. And then I'm going to grind up my sourdough or your saltine crackers, whatever you decide to use. I'm just going to throw mine in the blender real quick to make really fine crumbs. So this is all whisked up, and now I'm just going to add the crab on top and then the breadcrumbs on top of that. So for this recipe, you just need a pound of crab meat, and I am using claw meat because that's what I have. It is actually recommended to make crab cakes with jumbo lump meat because of the flavor and the texture. The claw crab meat I hear is a little bit darker and a little bit more flaky. It's not like that nice thick chunky consistency that you really want with crab cakes, but hey, I'm a big fan of you use what you've got and make do with what you have. So I'm gonna go with this and I'll let you know how they turn out. So after I add all the crab, I'll just sprinkle the breadcrumbs on top. Sprinkle, sprinkle. And then gently fold it all together, trying to not break up the chunks of crab too much. So I don't want super giant crab cakes. Some people like to use the half cup size. Some like to make the tiny ones. I'm going for the middle ground. This is a 1/3 cup measuring cup. So I'm just going to lightly pack it in here and make sure there's nothing sticking out of the ends. And then transfer it over to my baking sheet here. I'm using one of those copper grilling mats. I've been obsessed with these recently for baking and the barbecue. And then just dump it out, and I'll just not gonna smash it down at all. I'm just gonna make sure that all the little pieces are tucked in. And that's it. I'll put them all on the baking sheet, cover it, and refrigerate it for 30 minutes to an hour, and then we can bake them. So these look absolutely beautiful. It made about 10 1/3 cup crab cakes. So I'm gonna cook 2 of them now and make little Eggs Benedict breakfast sandwiches with them. And the rest of these I'll refrigerate and cover and have for dinner. The one thing with crab cakes is that you really do need to refrigerate them and let them sit. So you can do this before you form them, or you can do it after you form them. From what I've read, it's better to form them into the cakes and then refrigerate them, but you know, you do what works for you. But you want to refrigerate them from 30 minutes to an hour up to overnight. So I took my first 2 and I am having those sit in the refrigerator right now, probably for like 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'll bake them. And these will sit and wait for us to bake them for dinner. And in the meantime, I'll make a little green smoothie and a little tartar sauce to go with them, and probably fry up a couple eggs. And then gently fold it all together, trying to not break up the chunks of crab too much. Mash it down at all. I'm just gonna make sure that all the little pieces are tucked in. And that's it. I'll put them all on the baking sheet, cover it, and refrigerate it for 30 minutes to an hour, and then we can bake them. Now we're preheating the oven to 450. So once the oven's nice and hot, I'll just bake them for 10 to 12 minutes or until they're golden brown and have that little crust on the top. You can also brush them with melted butter before you put them in the oven, or brush them with olive oil. I think I'm gonna try this batch brushed with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then later tonight, we'll try the melted butter. Okay, time to make tartar sauce to go with it. So I just did some mayo. Don't ask me how much, it was just like some. And then I'm adding basically like 1 dill pickle spear that I chopped up into there. And then we'll add about like a tablespoon of chopped red onion. I love onions, so maybe a little more because it's my tartar sauce. I'm gonna add a pinch of parsley. Not all tartar sauce has parsley in it, but I love something green. I'll add a little squeeze of lemon juice and stir it up and see what else it needs. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot the Dijon mustard. Don't forget that. That's key in tartar sauce. We'll do like a teaspoon. That's about a teaspoon. So I also just added in a couple tablespoons of my homemade organic Greek yogurt that's super thick, which adds a nice little flavor to this. It goes well with the tanginess. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper and maybe a dash of salt, and we'll call it a day. And there's the tartar sauce. Okay, they've been in for 11 minutes and I think they're done. So pretty. So I had big dreams of doing crab cakes Benedict, but I'm honestly not that hungry, so I'm just gonna eat one of these, see how it is, maybe have a little bit of lettuce on the side, but they look and smell so good. There's the timer. They were ready like a minute before the timer went off. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how they are. That's delicious. Just plain with nothing on it. It's super delicious. You definitely can taste that seasoning punch from the Old Bay. And with the tartar sauce, it's amazing too. I'm gonna squeeze a little lemon on it and enjoy my crab cakes. Happy Saturday. Those were so good. So good. I cannot wait to have more for dinner tonight. I don't actually think I'm going to do the melted butter because they were so good with a little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil on top. And I prefer that to butter any day. But the really good news is that 2 of those crab cakes is only about 280 calories. I just typed my recipe in to the nutrition information calculator. So it's only about 280 calories for 2 crab cakes. That's a great lunch, under 300 calories. Add in a salad. You can even add in a tablespoon of that tartar sauce as your salad dressing like I did. Hey, you can even have a couple ounces of wine with that and have a lunch under 400 calories. You can also, if you would like to make it gluten-free, you can use any sort of gluten-free cracker. If you can find gluten-free saltines or like a gluten-free sourdough starter flatbread that you toast and then grind would work. Or I'm pretty sure you could sub almond flour. I would, however, I don't know if you guys have tried this trick with almond flour for people that eat like keto, low carb, or gluten-free, but toast your almond flour in a pan. No oil, no nothing. Just like toast it like you would nuts. And it brings out another flavor of your almond flour. So I would definitely toast the almond flour before putting it in this recipe, but I do have a feeling that it would still work out really well. You might have to add 1 extra egg for the binding ability, but I think it would still be fine. But if you do try it with almond flour, let me know how it turns out. I'm sure it would be delicious. Mwah! Delicioso.